good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Post, live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. My name is Big Reg. Glad to be here. I got my partners in crime in the building. What's going on, J3? How you feeling?
What's going on? Feeling good, man. What's happening, fellas?
We got the professor in the building. What's up, Professor J?
What's going on, Big Reg, J3, Big Ed? Glad to be back in the house. And y'all know how I do. Praise the Lord. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
And last but definitely not least, we got my man Ed in the building. What's going on, Ed? How you feeling this week?
I'm shining bright like a diamond. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing today?
What's up?
Good.
Everybody looking healthy and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
Done.
Let's get this done. So tonight, we're going to do some updates on the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, some other topics that caught our attention, the professor's post takes, and our final post of the evening. So as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Please sit back and relax and enjoy Post on the Positions on Sports Talk Show channel. All right, fellas, let's dig right into the NFL. We're going to start breaking down the conferences start next week. But let's talk about what's going on in league news. I don't know if y'all noticed, if you had a chance to watch some of the preseason games, but it seems to be that there's two distinctive approaches to how teams are handling preseason. You got your old guard, some of the established coaches that are actually playing their starters in the preseason. Your Belichick's, your Reeds, Arians, Tomlin of the Steelers, even Shanahan. Versus the new breed of coaches, the Sean McVays, Cliff Kingsbury's and stuff, that aren't playing hardly any of their starters. So do you think there's a right or wrong way to go about the preseason? I know we went through 2020 and nobody had a preseason, so maybe that showed us some stuff. But what's y'all opinion?
I actually think that I would actually lean towards the old guard, because until one of them new guard coaches wins anything, then how they approach the season is irrelevant. That's just my opinion as far as that's concerned. But I think this goes to the point that I made about the 17 game season. With the 17 game season, I don't think you're going to see any player play the full 17 games as far as the significant players on each team. Now, I think that a lot of these teams, these noob heads are saying, okay, well, we have to count preseason as the regular season, like as far as the accumulation of hits and tackles and what have you, or the general wear and tear associated with the NFL season. So I think maybe that might be behind why they're saying, you know what, it's not necessary. We all know preseason isn't necessary anyway, because if a pro comes to camp not in shape, then they're already behind the 8 ball.
Hey,
Yeah.
what are you paying these rookies for? To sit on the bench or to be on the field? That's all I want to know. That's all I'm asking. You give me a solid answer, and then we'll go from there. But just what are you paying them for?
You're right. Now, rookies, they have to play. Like, let's take Pittsburgh, for instance. In the Pittsburgh, they're going to be reliant on at least 4 rookies on the offensive side of the football. And each one of those rookies have played significant amount of snaps in the preseason already. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be counted on heavily as far as wins and losses in Pittsburgh. So if you're a rookie, you have to play. You have to get these preseason snaps, if not just to get used to, acclimated to the speed of the NFL, the nuances of the NFL. So rookies are excluded from. They have to play the preseason.
Yeah, I'm old guard because we just grew up that way. But I will say this, it depends on the situation that a particular team is in. So, of course, Green Bay, field goal or throw away from the Super Bowl, You got Tampa Bay. I mean, we don't expect to see Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers and some of them other boys out there. But if you turn the clock over to a transition year for, say, the Washington football team, where you bring in a Fitzpatrick, where you got to get him acclimated to your system. You got to see what he can do, things of that nature. He better be out there on the field, because you're telling me that this team is good enough to contend at least for the division. Then I want to see what this quarterback can actually do. So I think it depends on who is at the helm, what quarterbacks you have. And you just said it. If your players come back in shape, like if Derrick Henry comes back to camp and, he's out of shape and things like that, then yeah, he needs to work himself back in. But if you don't have those types of issues, those types of differences, then, if the starters are good to go, I don't want them injured. I want them fresh. They've been in this league. They're veterans, let them, sit. Let the guys come in that I know that if I have an injury, you're trying to make the team, I'm trying to evaluate, what you have. Unfortunately, Tim Tebow is gone today, and we'll get into that. But you want to be able to see if you got some frauds or you got some real deals in your camp, because we're only going to go as far as my players. If I'm a coach, I'm like, my coaching plan is great, but I need to test some things out. So yeah, players need to play. And I think it just depends on the situation of the team. If I'm a contender, then I'm bubble wrapping all my starters. But if we got to grind and make something happen, then they out there.
Hey, can I add one little
real quick? The Super Bowl champions played everybody, including Tom Brady.
And that's what they should. That's what you're paying them for.
How long? By how long?
It was just a couple of series, but they played. I'm not saying
nobody should play. I'm saying that nobody should play significantly if we're defending our title, because we know how easy it is for somebody to get hurt. We're going to talk about injuries in a little bit. We know how fragile the human body can be, even in a no contact situation. So,
and I think what's really trying as far as NFL teams are concerned within the last few years, the most recent, not the collective bargaining agreement they signed last summer, but the one previously, the previous contract, they had stipulations as far as when they can put pads on and how many times they can be hit. I remember I went to a Steeler camp. I think this was in 18. I believe it was in 18. And me and my dad was out there watching practice, and I turned and I said, "Dad, I can practice with these guys right now." My out-of-state self could practice with the team because they weren't doing anything. They weren't hitting, but later I found out that there's only so many times that they can actually put the pads on. There's so many times they can actually do live contact. So a lot of these old school coaches might say, you know what, this is really the only live contact and hitting that these guys are going to get. And you have to be able to now, regardless of how much you play, you choose to play or not play veterans or anyone as far as the preseason is concerned, it's a fact that you can't go from a light practice like these NFL teams are doing now to full bore NFL game. That's when you're going to get a lot of injuries. And I think injuries within the last several years have been significantly more, and they've been catastrophic in the nature of these injuries. I mean, you're having ACLs, Achilles, and nowadays Achilles injuries are just like an ACL. I mean, it's not uncommon for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 players a year to go out with an Achilles. So I guess the point I'm making is I guess you have to really balance and put a little hope that you get a key figure hurt in this preseason.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got to callous up the body, because the only way you can get prepared to play football is playing football. You can do all the running, all the lifting, and all the light touch and all that. Until somebody strapped on hard and put you through and take you to the ground, your body won't get used to that. So, and one thing that's been bugging me all week, people talking about, well, this quarterback needs to play and this quarterback needs to play. Specifically, they're talking about Dak. He's back at practice finally, doing team stuff, but McCarthy's not sure if he's going to play this week. And if he doesn't play this week, because this is like what used to be week 3 in a 4-game preseason, now is week 2. If he doesn't play this week, he's not playing in week 3. because if you play your starting quarterback, guess who else has to play? Your starting offensive line people. And they're more susceptible to getting injured. And you get one or two of your starting offensive linemen hurt preseason, and that carries on throughout the season, you might be kissing your season goodbye.
So how do you get your starting quarterback ready for the season if he doesn't perform in preseason?
Well,
go ahead, Dave.
I think the quarterback you could put an asterisk next to his name because you can't. He's probably in the kicker, in the punter. I think there's
keep
about
going.
three.
Keep going.
I think there's. I say the kicking tandem, the punter, the kicker, and the quarterback probably can go through preseason without playing because the reps that they get in practice. Because really, it's all about timing and what have you with the quarterback, and the kickers is you're just kicking, but they're so protected. Quarterbacks are so protected. You don't have to really get used to getting hit. I mean, that's probably something you could probably ease into, because the likelihood of you getting hurt, unless if you're like a Lamar who's running all the time, but the likelihood of you really being physically abused or assaulted is almost slim to none. So I think those positions right there, you can afford not to really, play a lot in the preseason.
Well, we all know your quarterback is only as good as his offensive line. So if the offensive line doesn't get any reps in the preseason and then they're not prepared in the regular season, then what?
No, the offensive line.
You get the offensive line reps.
Yeah.
You don't just have to have your starter playing there. But if your starter's in there, they have to be in there. You can have your second string quarterback get 2, 3, 4 series with the starting offensive line so that they can get reps to get callous and get ready for the season without putting your starting QB, especially if he's got some time in the league. But I know Arizona Cardinals, they're not playing their quarterback. The Chargers aren't playing their quarterback. These are second and third year QBs. I'm sorry. They should be getting a little run. So it could be generational.
Yeah, that's generations. Plus, I think the thinking nowadays is if it's not a quarterback competition, then we're not going to really push our starter to do much. I mean, I think a lot of people are just scared and they bubble wrap, especially their quarterbacks. That's why the asterisk is around them, because early in the seasons, you might get some injuries, i.e. Dak, that happened very early that they don't want to happen even in training camp. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you, because when you look at the Washington football team defense, they bring in the smoke even in the preseason game. So if you look at that, you might say, nah, I don't think I'm going to put my quarterback under that fire, especially if I'm dealing with a left tackle that we trying to bring along. Yeah, third string guy, get on out there and
take that beating.
Right.
Just like Trevor Lawrence got his welcome to the NFL in the preseason. And Cleveland didn't even play their first string defense. Their second and third string defense beat that boy up. So you can ruin a player real easy. Speaking about QB battles, which of the QB battles, if any, do y'all think will end up coming down to week 1? You got the Cam Mac Jones up in New England. You got Garoppolo, Trey Lance in San Fran, and then you got Dalton and Justin Fields. Do you think any of the rookies will get the shot to start week 1?
Yeah, I mean, the New England one is the only one I would pick off this list, and I'm gonna tell you why. If you watch the interview that Cam recently had, I don't know if it was this morning, it was yesterday, where he was asked about his starting status and whether Belichick told him anything. Well, of course, Belichick, he don't say nothing. So Cam is looking at the writing on the wall. He hears the chirping that's going on. It's a possibility that he may not be the starter on week 1. And it's not because he didn't do well. What I'm hoping that they do this week is that they flip-flop. They let Mac start and then put Cam in with the second and third stringers and see how he does against that lot. If he shows out, then you know that Cam should still be your starter because he performed decently against the starters last week. And then, you know, I almost said Burrow. Matt got put in, and then he did shine. I'm not going to lie. He did shine. He's an Alabama quarterback. He's ready for this big league. But what I'm saying is, out of the three that you just named, he's the one. Because when I look at Justin Fields, he's the starter. I mean, Chicago is just playing chess right now because if they name a starter, they know they might not get what they want for Nick Foles. They're trying to dangle him to the Indianapolis Colts because they still don't know what they really want to do. So not naming a starter actually is smart on their part. But if you watch Justin Fields play, I mean, it's no question. And then you look over and you look at Jimmy G. Jimmy G can play in this league. The problem with Trey Lance is that out of all the rookie quarterbacks that we just named, he has the least amount of experience. He's still raw. He's not yet ready to turn the corner. So I kind of equate him with Jordan Love. It's good for Love to sit behind Rodgers while they fight it out because he can gain that experience. And then when Rodgers is out the door, he can take over with some confidence. So I would say it's Cam that's in most danger of losing the starting spot for week one.
I have a little different take on it. I really don't believe Belichick wants Mac to play yet because I think he is an old school dude, and I just don't think he trusts rookies. So that's my take on Mac playing in front of Cam. Now, out of all the quarterbacks that I think, as far as this list is concerned, I actually think Lance is going to play more. Because why? Because Shanahan said he's going to play. He didn't name him a starter, but he said out of his mouth that, Trey's going to play. So he's putting everybody on alert, most notably Jimmy G. That this dude, he didn't come here to sit down. He came here to play. And you guys, as Washington football team fans, y'all have a firsthand knowledge, and you guys would be more inclined to answer this question than me or have a real solid opinion on it because of the fact that you've seen him work with a rookie quarterback before. Now, whether or not we don't know whose fault it was, we can debate that later. But we've seen him play a rookie before. But I actually think that Shanahan, I believe, despite his time here, I think he actually knows what he's doing. I think he's a great offensive coordinator, and I think he's a great quarterback coach. And I actually think that out of all the guys, I think that he's in the better position to succeed this year. If you have to play in year one, I would be cautious of playing Fields year one because let Andy Dalton get beat up. Nothing says they have to start week one. We already know Dalton can't play anymore. We know this. Everybody knows this who's listening and who's discussing this topic right now. But he is a good, test dummy, so to speak. No offense, but he's a good,
The coach on the hot seat. He don't have that luxury to let Dalton get beat up and not win games. You got another guy on the other side of the ball, Khalil Mack, that ain't playing that. He not trying to come and watch another losing season. If Justin Fields is the guy that you should have on the field, he could be in danger. Matt Nagy could be in danger of losing that locker room early if he don't get that boy in there by at least week 4. He may not start week 1, but if he don't get him in there, because we already seen Andy Dalton. We already seen that nightmare before. He was just down in Dallas. He had the keys given to him and couldn't do nothing with all them offensive weapons. The defense sucked, but he had all them offensive weapons and couldn't do nothing with it. So I'm not buying that one. And as far as Lance is concerned, I mean, I'm not really sold on Shanahan being a quarterback whisperer because, I mean, Matty Ice was already established. He ran RG3 into the ground, and then he didn't get Jimmy Garoppolo to play up to the standards that he wanted. Now, he can argue that that's not his guy, but I feel real nervous for Mr. Trey Lance if he runs that offense like he did with RG3, because we could have a repeat of what happened here in Washington.
Yeah.
Good, great synopsis. I would definitely have to agree with what Professor J just stated. And I was going to say Justin Fields looked real comfortable back there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't start him. That would be a huge mistake, like you said. And Trey, yeah. Trey should sit back and let Jimmy Triple G do what he does, and then step in and take the reins.
You just called him Triple G.
Yeah.
But Jimmy, we all know that Garoppolo, he's never made it through a whole season yet.
True.
Right. So he gonna play. And,
Right.
Yeah. And I think Shanahan is considering more. I'm gonna take y'all way back. Donovan McNabb, when he first started for the Philadelphia Eagles, his rookie year, they would put him he played almost every game. They would put him in packages. If it was like third and extremely long, let Donovan go out there and play. And then they had a couple of set packages. I think they're planning on doing something like that with Trey for now. But if Jimmy gets off track, then that'll sure take over. Couple of things just want to point out. Some new news. Some of it just hit today. Your boy Jamal Adams and the Seattle Seahawks agreed to a 4-year contract extension, making Adams the highest paid safety in the NFL. 4-year, $72 million contract. But as y'all know, I try to give it to y'all real. He got $20 million signing bonus, and about 32 of it is pretty much fully guaranteed, because another 12.5 gets guaranteed the first day of next year's NFL calendar, which is like the 2 Mondays after the Super Bowl.
And did you see Mr. Matthew, the honey badger, throwing his shade up in there when he saw that contract?
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I quote, "The disrespect is noted."
Can you say heated? Can you say heated?
Get some of that new money. He trying to get some of that new money.
Well, these NFL players, these NFL players today, they ain't like the old school NFL players. They want their money.
Exactly.
And very boisterous about it.
Yeah. Shout out to the Atlanta Falcons becoming the first NFL team to reach 100% vaccination with their players. And lastly, got to shout out to my man Pat Mahomes, my homie. He's releasing his first signature shoe through Adidas, the Mahomes One Impact Flex, which drops August 23rd. Mahomes is doing big things. So he bought into the baseball team. He bought into the soccer team all there in Kansas City. Now he's dropping the shoe, a signature shoe. That's strong. Let's bounce over to the NBA real quick. We got some interesting signings over the last week. Your boy Kawhi Leonard shocked everybody. Kawhi opted out of his old deal, which was going to pay him $32 million, and then signed a 4-year max extension with the Clippers, when he could have opted into the deal and signed a 4-year extension on top of that and would have got more money. So that was just real interesting to me.
But do you think he did that so they could bring in some more talent?
Kawhi don't seem to me to be the kind of guy that's worried about
Anybody
him sharing his money for somebody else. That's just me. I could be wrong.
I think he wanted Patrick Beverley out of there, though. You gotta remember, he had a bird's eye view of everything as he was sitting on the bench during the playoff in that series. And I think he watched and really took in his antics. Beverly really don't fit the kind of style of persona that this man has. And I think if you look back to when he was on Toronto and then San Antonio, he really didn't have a Patrick Beverly type. Mm-hmm. So to see the deal that just went down that sent he and Rondo on out of there, and you brought back in Bledsoe, I think that probably had some influence with Kawhi in it, I would think.
You're probably right. But
check
your boy Pat Bev didn't stay. He ain't stay long.
He sure did.
They shipped him right out of Memphis.
Timberwolves, right?
That's like NBA purgatory.
He's Siberia. That reminds me that they be like, "Oh, okay, you want to act up? Okay." like the Soviets.
Really pushed CP3, did you? You about to get sent somewhere?
Yeah.
That's a shame too.
That's now like you ain't got to report to Memphis. Just stay home. We're gonna tell you what your final destination is.
Dude, you can't get no different than LA from Minneapolis.
I know. And don't tell me Chris Paul don't have no clout. He made some phone calls. Get him up out of here.
That is hilarious.
Purgatory.
The big center, Joel Embiid, today agreed to a 4-year, $196 million extension. That locks him up for 6 years with the 76ers. So the question is,
where's Ben Simmons going?
How long is Ben going to be on that roster? Because the way Joel was talking about him at the end of that playoff run, I'm sure he put his 2 cents in about Ben on whether he wanted to play with him or not again.
Well, you see Ben Simmons then ended all personal communications with the team. They got to talk to Rich Paul, his agent. So, I mean, they're writing on the wall. They're not going to get the asking price for Ben, so they need to go ahead and ship him for what they can get, because that's not going to be a good relationship if he's back in that building. Not at all.
Well, who you think going to take his contract?
Man, I don't know, but the NBA been sweetening up deals for everybody else. You know, I'm sure they can work something out, some back channel, something to get him up out of there. Because if this festers another year between these two, they are really going to implode from within. Because I don't see this really coexisting on another playoff run with those two together. I don't see it.
But the problem is Philadelphia, if you believe the reports, they're being unrealistic. Like they want.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying they're gonna have to come down.
Stars in return.
Right.
They want all this. Now 2 years ago, if they would have traded him before, they started making these deep playoff runs.
Mm-hmm.
And when his star was still shining, when they gave him a $30 million contract per year contract extension, if they would have traded him then they probably would have got way what they're asking for now. Now
before he was exposed.
He's exposed. It's too late. They need to cut their losses and keep it pushing.
Hey,
Plus,
Ben.
Terrible
Ben.
relationship before. They
shoot a three
on the wall, right? They should have saw this right on the wall. Those two never got along. They should have broke that up when they got rid of Brett Brown. They should have moved that along then, just like you say. Because now that the full picture is in view, you're not going to get that asking price. So Philadelphia, and then Doc already trashed them. So they're going to have to come down off of that asking price so they can get at least something for him and move on. They got to turn this chapter before the next season begins.
The best deal I see for them, and it's not going to be a great deal, is Golden State. There's a faction in Golden State that's still interested in Simmons. You trade him to Golden State. You pick up whichever one of those 2 first-round picks they picked this year. They'll probably even give you the first-round pick they picked last year to toss in, even though I wouldn't give him up because I think that young boy is going to be real good in the NBA. He just need to grow up because he's just young. And you get a bona fide scorer, get Wiggins. So you get a scorer who can space the floor to give Embiid more space. You get Simmons out there. You get 2 high first-round picks, and a 20-point per game score, and you just call it a day and keep it moving.
Because they don't need him to shoot.
Yeah,
exactly. He fits there.
Yeah.
He fits there. A couple other, I think, significant signings, but not as big money. Marcus Smart got a 4-year, $77 million extension to stay with the Celtics. And Josh Hart, Philly's own 3-year, $38 million extension contract to stay with the Pelicans. So,
Big Reg, quick question.
Yeah.
So, how is Dennis Schroeder feeling about Marcus Smart getting $77 million? How you feeling, bro?
What's that commercial? Want to get away?
Man, talk about rolling the dice. My goodness.
He gonna be the butt of so many jokes moving.
He tried to put a good face on it when he was talking about, I'm glad to be signing with the Celtics for this $6 million when I just turned away 80 plus.
Right. And ESPN had a nerve to put his highlights on the website. Like, are you serious?
Should have stayed in Atlanta.
So do y'all think Eric Bledsoe is going to help the Clippers in their pursuit? Because, I mean, to be honest, that whole deal was just a money dump.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Bledsoe when he got to Milwaukee. It just seemed like it just started going downhill from there, and then he got, he ended up I guess in Memphis.
Chemistry. It was all about chemistry. He never had pieces around him to improve his game. I mean, he's always been a decent player. Yeah. He just didn't have no players around him.
He's a number 3 or number 4. They was trying to make him a number 2 in Milwaukee, and that was too much to put on his plate.
Right. But he'll fit right in LA because he'll be the number 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to be number 2 for most of next year.
Yeah, because Kawhi ain't going to be playing. Yeah.
Kawhi. That's right.
Playoff P got to step up again.
Right.
Ruh-roh.
I think Paul George is going to relish this time to try to take over the team and make the team his team.
And what about Zubats?
Really?
I'm just I'm sorry. I'm derailing the show. I'm sorry.
Really? Wow. The NBA also announced the NBA is taking cues from the NFL, dropping tidbits in non-season stuff. They announced the Christmas game slate for this year. It's going to start the day off with the Hawks playing the Knicks in the Garden. So you're going to bring Ice Tray to the Garden to torment them on Christmas Day. I hope he drops 60 on them. Then you got the Celtics visiting the Bucks in Milwaukee. You got the Nets at the Lakers. Phoenix against Golden State, and the nightcap is Dallas Mavericks against Utah. So at least it'll be a
Nets and Lakers.
A good night for watching some basketball once you've done your family things and all that. So
the Nets and Lakers, they gonna go at it. That could be a real game, a preview.
That's why they on.
Yeah,
depending on how many of them are healthy.
Right. Well, I'm hoping it's Christmas. I hope they all out.
Hey, has it been announced yet whether or not they're going back to a full 82 game schedule?
Yes.
So that's been confirmed.
Everything I've seen is full schedule. NBA ain't trying to miss no money.
I think if they suffer through another finals like they did last year, I think that they would be highly disappointed. Which begs and hear me out for a second. What I'm saying is, we talked about this a little bit before, is because of the NBA is so star driven. It seemed like this past year, particularly when it got closer and closer to the playoffs, and then the playoffs, how they played out. Now, Giannis is a star, obviously. Again, Chris Paul's a star, but I think that they need someone to have. They need a rival. If Giannis and the Bucks are real or for real, which I personally think that if the Nets would have been totally healthy, we may have had a different outcome. But again, that's just speculation. I'm not taking anything away from this. I'm wondering if the NBA really enjoyed Milwaukee winning, and if they secretly didn't wish it was like the Nets winning it. I'm curious about that. I think they need the return of a star-laden team to push these ratings back to where they need to be and the interest.
One thing I think about the Bucks, once you become a champion and taste that, most teams, at least in the NBA, their level of play raises a little bit.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
They now have the confidence that they can win a championship, and their big three now know what to do to grind to get there. And Giannis took a huge leap the way he took over in the finals, that he could do that. So,
don't you think the Nets have that same They have championship
I
players
don't
on
know
their
if
team.
they do. How many games did they all three play together? I don't know if they do. They play like what 9-10 games altogether.
I think throughout the
Like-
playoffs, I think they played a total of 15 games together all season.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't.
So you don't know.
Yeah, but
They
just like Ed said, if they were all healthy, wouldn't there be a different outcome? So we don't know. Let's see what happens in the playoffs.
There's only one ball. That's why
Yep.
you can't just give it a foregone conclusion, because the way that KD played, if he had to share the ball with Harden and little guy, the world is flat guy. You don't know what would have transpired. I
Uncle
still
Drew.
think that as long as
Uncle Drew.
Kyrie is a part of that team, they have that balance and that chemistry, and he won't be available to get them over the top. I strongly feel that way because I haven't seen it. How LeBron got him to do it probably was because he was sunning them the whole time and he couldn't take it. So that's why he left. But clearly Kyrie needed somebody to lead him to the promised land because he can't do it by himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting NBA season because you got a lot of players who coming back from injury. Hopefully they stay healthy. And if Golden State, even if they don't get anybody, Golden State's going to be a problem for a lot of teams. They're going, these young players are getting a lot of playing time over the last year and a half, 2 years. Add them to a fully healthy team with Andre Iguodala just being on the bench and giving them that leadership, they could be a problem.
And Clay.
Yeah.
And Clay.
And Clay at 70%.
And Clay
is better than a lot of people's second and third option. So it'll be interesting. Let's talk a little bit of Major League Baseball. Most teams have played somewhere between 117 to 121 games of their 162 game series. So it's time we're starting to get into that playoff push and push for the wild card. So just to give you a glimpse of some of the tight races, the AL East, Tampa Bay Rays are 3.5 games ahead of the Red Sox, who are up and down. And then the Yankees, it look like they're trying to come back 5.5 games ahead of the Yankees.
They ain't trying, they are.
The AL Central is all but over. The White Sox are 11 games ahead of Cleveland. So that's pretty much done unless they just fall apart.
Good too. They look good. Yeah.
The team everybody hates, the Houston Astros, 2.5 games ahead of the Oakland A's, with the Mariners 7.5 games back. That's going to be interesting. But the juicy stuff is you've got the AL East and the AL West that's going to come right down to the end. But the AL wild card is just tough. I mean, Red Sox and Oakland A's are currently the 2 wild card teams, but the Yankees only 1.5 games back. Toronto's only 4 games back. So you're going to have some fireworks in the AL.
Nothing like rivals. Nothing like rivals.
Yeah, BJ.
And then in the NL, I mean, the Atlanta Braves finally took control of the NL East with this past week. They're only 1.5 games ahead of Philadelphia. Philadelphia looked like they was going to run away with this, and then had 6-game losing streak. But the Phillies have the easiest schedule for the end. They play the Nationals a bunch of times. They play the Cubs a bunch of times. They got a bunch of cupcakes in there, so that's going to be real interesting.
Girardi do the right thing.
Too many cheesesteaks.
NL Central, Brewers are up 7.5 games over the Cincinnati Reds, and the NL West, that's the toughest division. The Giants are still leading. They're 4 games ahead of the Dodgers, but the Dodgers look like they keep coming. Nobody wants to see the. Have y'all seen Trey Turner?
Yes. Yes.
Playing in the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Did you see the crazy move he did this past week when he slid in the home and popped up all in one easy?
Yeah.
Trey, he looked like a whole different play out there. Yeah. So
you would too if you was in LA.
Yeah, Max is smoking. Max is smoking.
And I love DC.
I love it. We love it.
I see you, BJ. We can work something out. Wait till we get to the postseason. We can work something out.
But I got to shout out the Giants, though. I know LA's coming hard, and to be fair to LA, and hey, there's no crying in baseball. But to be fair to LA, they've had some setbacks on their pitching staff.
Yeah, the Trevor Bauer stuff has been rough.
Might not even get resolved this year.
Right.
And then so we'll see. But the Giants front office, they might be down for a year, maybe 2 years, but that front office knows they know what they're doing. The Giants, that's an organization right there because they're way out west and they're in San Francisco. A lot of people don't really pay attention to the Giants, but the Giants, man, that's been a well-run organization now for at least the last 15 years. I mean, top notch. Compete with anybody in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, you speaking the truth, but I know you mean most people because Buster Posey, one of my favorite players of all times, man. But yeah, that organization, it just retools. But the Dodgers do as well. It's just that San Francisco has won one more World Series in that last 15 years that you talked about. So yeah, I mean, you right on point. But you can't sleep on San Diego because they trekking too. They got some great bats down there. And Tatis, he can dislocate his shoulder 18 million times and still come back smoking. I don't get it. It must be a cyborg.
If he can stay on the field,
right,
they're a problem.
He a cyborg, man.
He's leading the NL in home runs, and he's missed like 30-some games.
Right.
Wow,
that dude is crazy.
So if Tatis was healthy and wasn't suffering those shoulder problems, which I don't know why they haven't addressed that, but whatever. That's a different subject. Would you trade him straight up for Soto? For Juan Soto?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I love Soto, but that dude is a beast. Yeah. I would.
That's saying a lot.
Tatis is a star. Yeah. And he's going to be a star for a long time. He got flair. He brings charisma. Tatis puts Soto got a little bit of that, but he ain't got that. He got that swag that Junior's got.
And I think that's the difference between Washington and California.
Yeah, right. Let's take the flair out of it. I'm talking about just on the field performance. Do you think that's an even trade?
I've seen Soto go through too many slumps that I haven't seen Tatis really go through.
That's fair.
That's
fair.
True.
Soto will get hot, and when he get hot, he's white hot. And then he'll go to a slump. So, and maybe that's who's around him batting because he doesn't have a $200 million man batting behind him to protect him. So that changes the dynamics a little bit. But for my pleasure, I'm a Junior fan. I was a Ken Griffey Jr. fan.
Absolutely.
I'm a Guerrero Jr. fan, and I'm definitely a Tatis Jr. fan. These young boys just balling.
Was you a Cecil Fielder Jr. Fan?
If Fielder would have taken care of his body and controlled the weight, he was a good player.
He was great, yeah.
He just ate himself out the league.
Things taste different with
and this is Big Reg telling you he ate himself out the league. So I got a little, experience, something like that. So the NL wild card race is going to come down. Dodgers and Padres are currently manning that, but the Reds only get 1.5 games back. Cardinals 4 games back. Cardinals is another organization. They're not real flash and all that, but they're always solid. So you don't want to see them in the playoffs because they might get you. And then the Phillies and Mets are still there. But one other person I got to talk about, my man Shohei Ohtani. People, please.
Still rocking the bat.
Yankees shut him down last night. Just want to get out.
He put one way. They was nervous on one of those shots, though.
Yeah,
they was nervous. He got under that just a little bit when I was leaving the ballpark.
A little bit.
Again, this is a starting pitcher.
Phenom.
who's got 7 wins, 1 loss on 17 starts, 2.93 ER, pitcher who's leading the majors with 39 home runs. He's third in the majors in RBIs with 86. He's only 3 out of the league with that. And he's third in OPS. A pitcher.
And very humble, too.
Yeah.
Very humble.
Yeah.
That's what I like about him.
Dude's crazy. Mad talented. I
He
think
got
they're
that.
going
He using that clear. Clear. How else can you come back from Tommy John that fast? Got that clear.
Wrong, man. You wrong.
Before he said that, I was going to ask, can he sustain that? Or is this just a one-hit wonder this year?
I don't think so. I think this is him for real.
But he been balling like that since he been in Japan. I mean, this ain't no one-hit wonder. Yeah.
Yep.
I think eventually some genius in the front office is going to say he's just too valuable as a bat, and we're going to stop him from pitching.
And on a personal note, I've been to where he was from. He's from Hokkaido, Japan. And I actually went there to do a field exercise. It's cold as sugar honey iced tea up there.
Wow. Let me just ask a really quick question before we move on. Would you guys say that now that Japan has surpassed us in baseball?
If you're talking about America and Japan separately, or you talking about Major League Baseball and Japanese baseball?
Major League and Japanese baseball.
No.
Okay.
They close, though. I would definitely give them close.
You still have major leaguers that can no longer play here, go to Japan and play for another 3 to 7 years and have good careers.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Now the stars, the top level stars like Ohtani, I will say that their top level stars are on par with our top level stars. I just think we have more of them. Okay. And I think our talent base is deeper from what I can tell, because now not everybody wants to come to America or to play baseball or live. So I get that you're still going to have that faction. There's a lot of great players in Japan that we probably will never see or hear about. But I think that like a true star like Ohtani, or what's the kid? That's the man that used to play in Suzuki. What was his name in Seattle? Oh,
yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ichiro.
Hideki.
Yeah, Ichiro. That's it.
So I think that the top level stars that want to personally, they take it on as a challenge. Well, then I think we'll still see them. But as far as passing up America, I don't think just yet. I don't think the talent level is deep enough just yet in Japan, and that could be the different sizes of the countries. I mean, we have a bigger talent base to pull from, obviously. Plus, we have the Caribbean and South America that we get a lot of our players from. Right. That I don't know if they necessarily, go hard after those type players in Japan like we do, because we have academies. Our Major League Baseball teams have academies set up in those countries to cultivate and groom these players to come to MLB. And I don't know if Japan is into those areas like we are.
Yeah. And shout out Ronaldo, the Dominican. If they had the population, because by far they putting out stars on the regular. They just don't have the population to sustain it.
Yeah, we don't know how old they are, but they doing it.
They don't mind playing till they 45 or 50.
And to be honest with you, Reg, I don't know if it's the population or if it's just the economic structure that they have to be seen. Because you're right, their performance level is definitely up there.
Yeah, I mean it's truly the national pastime there still. Mm-hmm. It used to be in the U.S. It's no longer. Football is taking that mantle.
Right.
Just quick things. I know I told y'all there was a triple header boxing card. Hit you with the main highlights. Joshua Franco beat Andrew Maloney by unanimous decision in their trilogy fight. It was a good fight. I thought the fight was actually close and could have gone either way.
I did too. And in fact, before you move on, Big Red, I had to watch it again on ESPN Plus last night because I felt that it was really so close. The commentators sometimes irritate me because you can hear their bias. Mm-hmm. And if you turn it off, like our purists, Big Reg and Tony be telling us, then you can just watch with your eyes what's happening. And I thought the fight was much closer than how it was depicted or commentated as well. That's why I went back and I watched it for a second time. I thought that, they went back and forth from a lot of exchanges. And I thought that that Maloney really held his own. Where I think he faltered was he went away from that crazy jab that he needed that really stopped the second fight. It wasn't a phantom headbutt. He was jabbing the crap out of him that swelled up that eye. But I thought it was much closer. I still gave the edge to Franco, but yeah, I had to agree with you on that real quick.
Yeah, and shout out to Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of the great Muhammad Ali, who they had him in there with a tomato can, and he did what he was supposed to do and got him out there in the first round in granddaddy shorts. But yeah, good luck to Nico as he continues to move on. In the I believe the zone bout, Virgil Ortiz, this young fella, welterweight, is a monster. He finished with the 8th round KO of Kowalskis, who took Bud 9 rounds for Bud to get him out of there. Ortiz is 18-0, 18 KOs. So he's perfect. And in his post-bout, of course, he shouted out Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, and Manny Pacquiao, but who wouldn't in that weight division? Everybody trying to get paid.
They need to keep Bud's name out of their mouth.
and the last of the big three, the worst box title fight I've seen in years. Guillermo Rigondeaux need to retire because he ran so much in his fight against John Rio Casimir that it was embarrassing. Neither fighter landed more than 60 punches in the fight. A 12-round fight. So
they did that much tap dancing, huh?
Oh man, it was ugly. And for you fight fans, this weekend you got the Senator Manny Pacquiao going against your Dennis Ugas on Fox pay-per-view. Good luck in seeing how many people actually buy that. But let's go on from there. I'm sorry. When your boy pulled out with the eye thing, come on now. They should have just switched that to regular Fox,
right?
And called it a day. Pay-per-view. I mean, really?
Pacquiao, come on, man.
Hey, that's right.
It's Pacquiao.
You thought you won the fight.
Yeah. All right, Professor, it's time for your post takes.
All right. So welcome. Come on. It's good to see you guys tonight. So let's jump right in. Tonight's topic, it's about to go down. Greetings to all our postlings. Glad to have you for another sub-session of post takes. Just when you thought that he had enough, S. Carter is at it again. Jay-Z/Rock Nation has partnered with Michael Rubin, the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, to apply for a sports betting license in New York. They have formed Fanatics Sportsbook. If Fanatics sounds familiar, it is. It's the same sports apparel company that we all get most of our jerseys, paraphernalia, and game tickets from. They are putting down stakes in the gambling world that has been increasing its market share in online and virtual gaming. Fanatics has become the sports world's first decacorn. This means that Fanatics has a recent valuation of more than $10 billion. They are valued actually at $18 billion, which places them 12th on the list of the most valuable private companies in the world. What this means is that they have their sights on taking an even larger share of the market and expanding more into ticketing, media, gambling, and of course, making more of that apparel and merch that we love so much. Fanatics already generates approximately 80% of its revenue through its website, fanatics.com, and more than 300 teams and leagues that it partners with. This is crazy because as sports fans, whether you knew it or not, your transactions with your favorite sports teams have had some affiliation with Fanatics in the foreground or background. To go even further, Fanatics formed Candy Digital back in June. This is an NFT, or for all of you folks in the know, non-fungible tokens. This is a company that has one-of-a-kind unit values placed on its assets, which means they can't be duplicated or replaced. So you guys have heard of cryptocurrency, right? Don't think that they are serious or not serious about cryptocurrency. They hired former FanDuel CEO Matt King to run the betting operations and pull in the craze surrounding cryptocurrency. Look for Fanatics to eventually go public, and when it does, I would encourage all of our listeners to give it a good look as an investment. We don't just know sports on this show. All of us are savvy in investments, and J3 is our lead dog. Maybe we can do an opinion show in the future because we are not giving advice. They're just opinions. All right. But we share what we have learned. All right. Lastly, I just want to show my latest Fanatic purchase. And just in case I missed this last week, just want y'all to see, this is the World Championship jersey. I can't hold it up effectively with one hand, but there's the championship logo trophy on that. Just wanted to show that I support Fanatics as well. So we salute the world champions, and as Big Perk would say, carry on. But seriously, last but certainly not least, I have an announcement. The Cincinnati Bengals, your entire franchise is the Bama of the week. I can't believe you aren't going to play Joe Burrow. Your savior, your guy that you picked number one. You know, Friday night, I was going to be at the house. We got the tickets to the playoff, the preseason game, and I won't get to see Joe Burrow at FedEx Field. Is it because we knocked him out last year? Are you scared of the nation's capital defense?
Yes.
You don't want to take any chances, right? But in all seriousness, I don't blame you, because against this defense, I mentioned it earlier, they are playing lights out even in preseason. It doesn't matter if Young gets one snap, he coming after the quarterback. So maybe sitting Joe Burrow was the best thing to do. Lastly, salute to the Washington football team for hosting and standing in the gap for youth in need. My company had a chance to attend the back-to-school event last Friday, and we were able to give out school supplies and resources to 1,000 families. God bless you, and thanks for being a light in the community. We're quick to point out what this organization has done incorrectly, so I want to balance things out and give kudos to the great strides that the Washington football team is making. Thanks again. Back to you, Big Reg.
And again, the answer to the Cincinnati question is yes.
hey, Jamani.
Yes, sir.
Hey, was that a Chris Middleton jersey?
No. That was Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, okay. My bad. I didn't see the back.
There you go. Yeah. It's the real deal. It's the real deal.
All right. Well, it is time for us to get up out of here. Time for our final post. Why don't you start us off, Ed?
Again, everybody, please stay safe. Good to see. I want to see everybody back and healthy again next week. On the sports side of things, I'm just going to continue to. I'm not quite ready to be fully invested in baseball just yet. It's not cold enough yet, which means the playoffs, obviously. But I am on the lookout for these competitions, these quarterback competitions. We hit on it a little bit as far as who may play or who may not play. So I'm I have a keen eye on preseason, which normally doesn't happen. So just everybody stay safe. Oh, my bad. Happy birthday to my little sister.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hey.
Excellent.
Professor, you up?
All right, so I'm gonna start out with happy birthday to my niece Serenity. Today is her birthday. She turned 9 young, and she just left us. She had spent the last 10 days hanging with us because my mom and my sisters were out of the country. So we were glad to have her with us, and we celebrated her birthday today. And then I want to give a shout out to little Jack. His YouTube channel is Jack Attack. And he was featured on ESPN over the weekend. He's a young man that suffers from a debilitating disease. He's 15 years old. He wasn't expected to live past the age of 5, I believe. He actually has his own fantasy football league because his mom wanted him to feel normal like other kids. And since he couldn't play sports or go outside and run like a normal child, he started this fantasy football league years ago. And it is getting so much attention. I have joined and subscribed to his YouTube channel. It's called Jack Attack LTPF. Check him out. You know, I've been interacting with him and his friends. It's a whole lot of fun. And it's a great segue into our fantasy football league, which we'll be beginning very shortly. So we wanted to let you guys know that when we start the shows on Thursday, you will be the first to know that we are back and in full effect. And we got a great crew this year that is competing. We got 14 teams, and we going after you, Big Reg. And
Yes, sir.
After both. So just know that. All right, that's all I got. Yeah. Peace.
J3, you up?
So real quick, I just want to give a shout out to all kids that are returning to school this fall. I know we're going into this variant a little deeper than we did the original COVID. So please mask up and be safe. And then secondly, I just want to take a quick moment of silence for one of my best friends who this Saturday, it would be 5 years that he passed away, to Big Brother Rob.
Appreciate that, brother.
Thank you.
Amen.
All right. Whoo, you shook me with that one. Okay. I'm going to switch it back to sports. The big bad bullies of the SEC have put a little scare in the other conferences. So, especially them Alabama boys who are ranked number 1 again in both the APP and coaches preseason poll.
Roll Tide.
SEC scared people so much. You got the ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 in serious discussions about figuring out how they can figure out some kind of alliances so they can protect themselves from the big bad SEC. So, yeah, good luck with that. That's all I got to say. Good luck with that. Especially once Texas and Oklahoma figure out how much money they're willing to pay to get up out of the Big 12 ASAP. So, keep a lookout. And college football begins in about a little over 2 weeks, but officially begins September 4th. So get ready. 3 weeks, we're going to be in it. Roll Tide, roll.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. We're here each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. for our live show. If for some reason you can't catch the show live, you can also download the shows and previous shows on our Facebook page and YouTube page, Positions on Sports Talk Show. Just look us up. We're also available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Again, Positions on Sports Talk Show. And you can keep in contact with us. You can hit us up on our Facebook page. You can also hit us up, Positions on SPO1 on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Please shout us out. Tell your friends and family about us. And if you have any recommendations, please just hit us up. We're glad to hear from you. See you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Be there and be safe. Peace.
See ya.
Love you. Thanks.